Welcome back to Insight Builder channel. Data leaders, Python experts, and artificial intelligence automators efficiently store embeddings in ChromaDB with Towhee. Store and query embeddings locally. The key to work with ChromaDB inside Towhee is to understand entities concept in data collection. The pipe module that you will be working on till now, if you have followed my videos, you would have seen that pipe module has a very good control over the data, that is the columns or the data that is getting processed by the various pipe nodes actually gives the output of data queue object. This data queue object is kind of an iterator. This data queue object can be typecasted to data collection, and once the data collection is created, we can access the data, the actual real data inside the data collection using the entities. We'll be seeing this step by step in this video. And also the point I want to make here is, when you are working with ChromaDB, the idea of the lists is very important, because ChromaDB takes the lists as a whole and then writes it inside its vector storage. As I already have mentioned here, to creating a ChromaDB collection is very simple. You have to create a client. In this case of the presentation, I have not considered any persistence of the collection. You can take a look at the ChromaDB documentation. It is a very simple documentation to follow. You can understand how to do it in case of persistence. The next thing that I have done here is, if you have seen the pipe module, I am considering only the input of a data frame, that is df, and I am converting the data frame into series of rows, and then from those rows I am taking only first three columns using this lambda. This is the first step I am doing. So this is the input of the data into the pipe function. Once I do that, so here you see that I am doing it, and then I can actually look at the entire pipe collection using, again, converting the pipe data into list. This is important step that you guys have to do and see how the data collection looks. After that, you can use the regular Python constructs like list comprehension, or you can work with for loop and access the ID that we created here, the element, the article head, and the vector. So in this case, you might be wondering that, Kamal, what is article head, what is article ID, and all those stuff. I will be showing it to you in a couple of minutes inside the collab environment. What I'm showing here is that once you create these lists, you have to enter this list data into the collection, that is ChromaDB collection, using add method. The add method takes multiple arguments: IDs, metadatas, embeddings, documents, and there is one more argument. I will show it to you in the collab notebook. What we are going to do is, we are going to give embeddings to the collection. We are not going to ask ChromaDB to do the embedding for us. Actually, by default, when you initiate ChromaDB collection, the embeddings get initiated along with that. When I mean embeddings gets initiated along with that, I mean the embedding function. So when you are going to send in the documents, when you just store the documents itself, ChromaDB does the embedding for you. So you don't need to do it manually. So if you take a look at their documentation, you will understand. However, in our case, we are not doing that. We are actually taking the embeddings that is already available with us. This vec column that you see, this is already an embedding. So I will show you the data frame. So at that time, how will you input? So you have to input the embeddings argument and then send this value. This is the key concept that I was telling. So the reason why I told that understanding entities is key is that is the reason. So once you add it into the collection, then you can query it using the query method. This way of working, so what happens is, query method also you can use pipe again. You can query it directly also. Kamal, you will be telling, why should I use pipe for this? The reason why I'm using pipe here is that I have to embed the query, right? In your case, when you are going to work with any of the embeddings, you will first of all embed it, and then you will query it. So this is what this particular search pipe does, and it gives out the query as well as metadata. So understand here, it does not return the embeddings. So you will see the reply in couple of minutes. So you will see the entire code in action in the next step. So as you see the code here, most of the code is pretty straightforward to look at. When you read it, it seems as if, okay, it's very pretty simple. However, I really urge you guys to take a look at the Collab notebook. I mean, pull this particular GitHub notebook into Collab notebook and try to understand the code by executing it. Because when, okay, for an example, if you take this particular line, so you might wonder, okay, so I am just converting this string into element.id for elim in pipe with data list. So this is what I have created here. But why have I actually typecasted this elim ID into string? What is the problem that I faced? And why am I, creating this dict here? All these things I have not explained. Actually, when I create these videos, I go through the entire process of researching each and every step, right? So I face problems step by step. So in case of string element.id, the ID's element inside the collection has to be string. It cannot be integers. So it will error out. So I had to typecast it. Same way, when I am going to give the metadatas, the metadata has to be in dict format. It cannot be in the regular list format. So I have to first of all convert that elements that I have into dict format, and then I have to load it. So all these things happens by step process. So I will face an error, I will try to understand the error, and then try to recover from the error. At the end of the day, the objective, what is the objective of this entire presentation or entire notebook, is to store and query the embedding. So once that is clear, then each and every step is also will becomes clear. So I need to first of all try to find a way to add the embedding into the ChromaDB. So I go to ChromaDB and try to understand their documentation, and then I build these things. So building the data with the specification as per a particular vector store is the key challenge that you will be solving. So always that is the major challenge that one has to understand. And pipe module sometimes it makes it little difficult, because pipe module or Towhee is pretty new for us, but it has a huge amount of benefit. Because see, think about it, in this case of search pipe, this makes it very intuitive. So all you need to do is, for an example, if I want to create a new pipe, instead of using the model name Facebook DPR context, if you want to create a model with OpenAI embedding, all you need to do is remove this and place the OpenAI embedding here. It is a straightforward process. And if you are not going to use Towhee's ops operators, then also you can use just lambda. So that is the reason why I am not using lambda here. In case of using Towhee's operator, all I need to do is just call the Towhee operator. So the internal program, the internal function is written in such a way that if this particular value, whichever is close to the operator, will be sent into the operator. But when I am going to use any of the functions from external to Towhee or Towhee's operator, then I need to use a separate lambda function. So once you review the code by going through the document, through the Jupyter notebook, you will understand much better. So I hope that you guys like this video, and do leave a like and share it with others. Subscribe to my channel so that any updates further on various topics in Python and artificial intelligence models, big data, will be shared to your dashboard, YouTube dashboard directly. With that said, let us go to the browser. So if you guys are completely new to this technology of Towhee, the large language models, LangChain, ChromaDB, etc., I have made a couple of videos in my YouTube channel. You can take a look at that under the playlist, as well as the recent videos on Towhee also is pretty informative. let us go to the GitHub repo where I will be hosting this particular notebook. So I'll be sharing the link with you guys. Coming to the collab notebook. So the point I want to make in this collab notebook is this collab notebook, this particular Jupyter notebook will have both Milvus as well as ChromaDB implementation. The reason why I have not removed Milvus implementation is that you guys can understand the comparison between Milvus and ChromaDB. That is the main reason. I am not going to do any of the Milvus data upload or data download. I am not going to do in this particular video. You guys can try it out by pulling this Jupyter notebook. So I am anyway installing I have kept all the necessary libraries, PyMilvus, Towhee and ChromaDB. The data that we will be working with is one of the Towhee's examples, the new medium data.csv. This particular data has been taken from Kaggle datasets called cleaned medium article dataset. Thanks to Shiu22 Chen user in Kaggle for this, and also for Towhee team for sharing this with us. Coming to the data. So the data that we are interested inside this entire data frame is these 3, 1, 2 and 3. So that is ID, title and title vector columns. These are the 3 things. So you see the vector embedding is already available with us. This is what I was telling from the beginning, that so I'll be showing also, that is better. So I'm not going to import the PyMilvus related modules here. As I was explaining, if you have the host, user and port, you can execute PyMilvus functions and steps also. So you can try and compare. However, I'll be just doing this. So I'll be importing the ops, pipe and data collection module. You'll see that in this video, there are a couple of cells are not executed. So there is no number. So if you take a look at it here, you see the number here. That number means it has been executed. That cell has been executed, but the rest are not executed. So that is one of the way to find out. And in case of inserting, so this is the insert step where I inserted, and you might be wondering, see the data frame I am trying to import, and I am directly taking 3 different values here. I am nowhere referring to the title and title vector. I am giving a different name here. So how it will work in case of the Towhee module, what happens is the flat map takes a look at the complete row. It does not look at the column headings. So inside the row, for an example, if I go here and if I go here, this becomes an entire row with 8 values. So everything will be separated by comma. So in case of Towhee pipe module, it will look at the first value, second value and third value inside the first row. And like that, it will look at all the values, and it will get assigned to the entities called as, where it is, yeah, the assigned to the entities called as ID, article and vector. This is what is happening here. You don't need to worry about the column names inside Towhee. It's not like pandas. Once that is done, you can take a look at the data frame shape. It's almost 6,000 rows. So do not send all the 6,000 rows into the pipe. It will take considerable amount of time inside Collab environment. If you are having a high power machine with you, then go ahead and do it if you are doing it locally. And also, if you are doing it locally, just be aware that ChromaDB will install Torch, it will install Sentence Transformer and various other libraries, and your system should be ready to take those downloads also. Now coming back to the insert pipe. So this particular topic I have explained right now. Second, I have told how to insert the data frame. It's a pretty straightforward process. And then once you insert the data frame, then you take so whenever the pipe is inserted with the data, it gives data queue. Data queue is kind of a iterator. So it's not like a regular list, it's an iterator. So you need to convert it to list, and then you can see I have shown it here that it shows you 3 entities, that is ID, article, head and vec. So it just hold here. Now we are going to go and initiate the ChromaDB client. Initiating the ChromaDB client and working with ChromaDB, you can check the ChromaDB documentation. It's pretty straightforward. Only thing that you need to understand is that as I was explaining in the presentation a couple of minutes back. In this place, I was explaining how and why I had chosen to create it typecasted to string, how I typecasted it to dictionary, etc. These things you have to also understand by reviewing the documentation. Yes, I am actually showing the solution here. As you are also trying to implement it in your own code, continuously refer to their documentation. Not just Towhee's documentation, ChromaDB's documentation. In case of Python, almost all of the documentation are extremely well written. So do take a look at the Python library documentation whenever you're implementing anything new. Here I am converting coming back to the discussion, here I am converting the list data, that is the data collection list data that contains ID, article, and vector entities into separate lists. So I am creating IDs, head text, and embeds. So this is the embeddings. This particular list embeds contains the list of vectors for the 1000 rows. So this is the vectors. You can take a look at that. By taking a view of it, you will get to see that. And then I'm going to add these lists directly inside the collection. So this is pretty simple. However, take a look at this. As I was explaining in the presentation, I told you that there will be multiple arguments, right? That is IDs, embeddings, metadata, documents, and also finally increment index. So all these will be taken by the add collection dot add method. Here you see this, right? Embeddings is optional and metadata is optional, document is optional, but IDs are not optional. IDs you have to provide, no choice. And by default increment index is true. So what happens is, in case of this chroma.add method, if you give documents, so if you give this documents instead of how to create documents, you have line chains, various splitters, the recursive text splitter, character text splitter, or you can create documents from other libraries like unstructured, etc. You can take a look at my earlier videos on such libraries. You have to push the documents inside. These documents will contain page content, which will have the text data. And also you have to manually create the metadatas. So this is also one of the important points that you need to understand. And that is how it works. If you push the embeddings directly, then Chroma will not do the embeddings for you. So there is no documents, so it cannot do embeddings. That is why I mention here embedding equal to embeds. So if you try something, if you give the IDs, head underscore text, and embeds without this argument names, then it will error out. It will not work. So ensure that you give properly. And then okay, so till here it is about ChromaDB. Okay, these two I'm going to delete it from here, but anyway it will be there in the notebook. That is related to Milvus database, right? I had to keep it in the notebook because, as I told you, Milvus is also getting discussed in this notebook. So I'm not removing any of the data from the notebook. So you guys can take a look at the notebook. And now the insert activity is completed. Now we are going to query. When you are going to send a query, or what you are going to do, you are going to give a single text question, and the pipe will take this text question. It will have to embed it first. So this is the embedding that is happening using Facebook context again. And okay, so you must be thinking, so what is the embedding that I used here? So you can go here. If you see in the article, I am not actually using any kind of embedding here. As I told you, the embedding is already done and it is given to us in the data frame itself. I am not using any of the models that is available with us. However, what is happening is I am taking one of the embeddings that is very similar to the embeddings that I have got, and then I am creating the embedding of the query, and then I am going to search it using query. I am going to search it with collection.query. So this is what I am doing, but there are challenges here. Understand one thing: when I am going to create a vector out of this embeddings, out of this query, that query vector length and the vector length that I am having should match, or else the the query will not execute. It will actually error out. So keep that in mind. And if you are going to practice with some other model and some other kind of a vector that you already have got, then keep this in mind. So I am not explaining this with an example here, but that is one of the important points you need to remember. And here I am taking the vector from the text, and then I am sending the vector and the metadata. So what I'm doing is I'm sending the vector into this lambda function, and I'm going to use it inside the query method of ChromaDB collection. And then I'm going to get two results. So this is two results I'm going to get. And I'm going to output both the query and the metadata. So metadata comes from here. As I was telling, I'm not returning embeddings. I'm just returning the metadata because that is what I'm interested in. I am planning to get the questions or titles and the IDs that is very similar to the query that I'm asking. That is my end goal. You'll see that in a moment. Let me go down. Also, there is one more point I want to add here. When you guys execute in your environment this particular cell, so it will error out the first time. So it will say that the particular directory into which the Facebook model is trying to copy the bin files is not empty. So don't worry about that, just execute it again. That is because of the current scenario, how pipe works. This error comes out, so you can re-execute it, it will get downloaded, and this particular cell will complete execution. After that, searching the pipe is very simple. So you have to just say funny Python demo and you will get the output. This is the output you will get, but it doesn't stop there. So what happens is, yeah, you see the output here, but how to work with it? At the end of the day, you have to use the output for something else, right? So here I'm just showing the output. I'm converting the data queue object into data collection, and I'm using a show method of the data collection. But if you want to, convert it into something that is usable, then you need to convert this data collection object into list. This is how you do that, and then you can take a look at the actual values. And also remember, you might be thinking, why am I creating the search pipe again? That is because this is a iterator module. So once I do a search pipe and get the value and do a show, the iterator runs out. So after you do a show, you will not be able to get any of the values out of this data collection object. You have to reinitiate it. So that is why I'm doing it. And then I'm converting it to list. Now, once you convert it to list, then it becomes stable. So you can work with it how many times you want. But this is something that I realized after making the video. So I had to do the video again. When the first time I made this mistake, I did not realize what is going on. And then when I did further understanding of this research, then I found, okay, so this is an iterator module. So I remembered that, and then I converted this to list, and I have shown this. So you see, I am asking funny Python demo, and I see an overview of importing data in Python and Python functions, tools, and tricks. So this is what is the output that is coming because I'm asking for two results. Okay, there could be better way of working with the Towhee pipe module. I am just showing you. This is a video of introducing you what is possible with Towhee module with ChromaDB. And also, believe me, there are ways to work with face index. There are ways to work with HNSW. I'll be sharing it to you in couple of later videos. At this moment, I am doing the research on that, how it works and what is the background of that. I'll be reverting with the information. So at this moment, we have come to the end of this particular video. I hope that you guys understood the entire process that goes through for getting the ChromaDB working with Towhee. And with that said, I would like to conclude this video, and I hope that you like this video. Do leave a like and subscribe to my channel for further video updates directly to your YouTube dashboard. And with that said, with 4 words, I would like to take a leave. Practice, 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 practice. See you guys. Have a great time.